Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh here from Soulful and with Ingrid, my darling, helping you to get your groove back, sweetheart, and to live a more widely fulfilling life so you can help me on my mission, which is to spread a new vibration in the world, a new vibration of love, a new vibration of light, and a new vibration of happiness. And helping me today, help you to get your groove back, is the wonderful Valerie McKen. Have I got your surname right, Valerie?
It's McKen.
McKen. Sorry, Valerie McKen, in my pronunciations. The wonderful Valerie McKen, who used to, once upon a time, be eating a whole load of nonsense. KFC, Burger King. She'd be having like pasta, she said, with like big blocks of cheese all over it. You know, was living her life like this for absolutely years. But because of an illness that 80% of us actually suffer from, she changed her diet. And she changed many things, but her diet's one of the ones that changed. But she is now what we call a raw vegan, a raw food chef. Now, to me, that sounds pretty daunting. As you know, I'm trying to swap over to being a vegan. I'm kind of 80% now, I'm mostly there. But we're going to speak to our lovely Valerie about her illness, what she went through, her new role, which is more than that. It's more than just a raw food chef, but we talked to her about that, how she made that transition and how she is now vibrating much higher with her new diet. Valerie, my lovely, how are you?
I'm all right. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my darling. Thank you for lighting up our space with your beautiful smile too.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Valerie, tell us exactly what you do, what your title is.
Right. First, I qualified as a nutritional therapist, but I also added detoxification to that. So I'm a detoxification specialist, as well as the raw food chef and teacher. Plus, I recently added vegan nutritionist because I felt the need to not only do that for my clients, but I needed to do that for myself as well, to learn more and understand exactly what it is and the approach you take to transitioning to be more of a plant-based eater.
Right. Now, okay, so this is where you are now, but let's take it back 15 years ago. Because things were quite different for you then, weren't they? Tell us a bit about...
Oh, longer than that, even. Because 15 years ago, I was just learning about this stuff.
Right.
So if you go back further than that...
How young you look there, you see.
What can I say?
What can we say?
Yeah. But, so years before, obviously I had no idea about this. So I was eating normally, as you do. So I was doing what everybody else does. I was eating dairy. I loved my yogurts, especially I don't know if you can name, but the ones with the corner, those ones, those were my favorite.
Yes.
And I was eating, my treat was chicken and chips every week. So I would work out in the gym, and then on a Friday I'd go get 3 pieces of fried chicken and large chips. So my diet was atrocious. I ate lots of pasta and things like that, and really any fruit or vegetables, considering we weren't really brought up like that. It was the guy I was living with at the time as well that influenced my eating. So, there's vegetables rarely went on the plate, and I was drinking Ribena and things. And Ribena, I drank alcohol. Dare I say lots of it?
I dare you to say it.
So yes, what people classify as a normal diet, that was me.
Right. So you said something integral there, really, in that which I picked up on, was that this was not how you grew up, having vegetables on your plate. And it's the same for me. It was meat and rice, or meat and we had salad on a Sunday, which is like, your basic salad, lettuce, tomatoes, that kind of thing, cucumber. But it wasn't part of our day to day. There's a little bit, it wasn't really, a little bit, it wasn't worth mentioning. But that's integral, because what people don't realize is that if this is not how you've been programmed growing up, it is much harder to make the switch later on in life.
Yeah,
I feel. I mean, I don't know. But
the thing is, most children, I can even say that for my own siblings, particularly one, when we were given vegetables, they were destroyed. They were cooked so much, they were just soggy and disgusting. And so most children, especially us, we grow up not liking vegetables because most people boil them to death, don't they? And they're mushy and they're not prepared in the right way. And most of the time they're seen just as something you have on the side rather than your main dish.
Yeah.
Simply because people haven't really been taught how to cook vegetables in a way that makes them palatable and that makes them tasty.
Oh, well, don't give too much away yet, because we're going to go to that. We're going to go to
that.
Yeah, but I just thought, I picked up on that bit that you said that you didn't have it as a child. And I just always think, because I didn't exercise as a child. And I think when you've not been programmed that way, I think people underestimate when they're trying to make that switch, you can almost beat yourself up because it hasn't happened as quick as you like, without realizing that it's a whole new reprogramming thing. So to be patient, but we'll talk about that. So let's go back to your illness. You had a quite severe illness. Tell us about that.
The only reason why I was diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with, and I'm going to make that in a second, was through something else. This was a totally unrelated condition. And it was actually, I was having issues with my calf muscles.
Right.
So what they did when I went to the hospital, because they were investigating it, so they did a scan on my abdomen. And that's where she goes, "Oh, you've got fibroids. It's a real mess in there." That's what I remember. That's all I remember her saying. And I thought,
what made them from your calf? What made them scan your stomach?
Yeah, because I think they were trying to find something related. They were trying to find something related that may be causing the pain and the stiffness in my calf muscles at the time.
Right.
So I can't even remember. It was that long ago.
No, but anyway, we don't. She's gone to your stomach. Had a look at that. She's gone.
But that's what they did, and that's how they found the multiple fibroids. Wow. But what the thing is, all my life I had this pregnant looking stomach, but I couldn't understand why all the crunches in the world weren't removing this belly I had. And I call it my little Buddha belly. And I thought, why can I not have a flat stomach? What is it? So when she said that, it all fell into place. And I thought, that's the reason. And now I get it.
How big were the fibroids? Were they massive?
At the time, I don't know, because she didn't measure them, because she wasn't looking for that. She just told me, and I thought, at least I know. But the fact is, I had those, plus I had the heavy, cycles as well. Yeah. But I had those all my life.
Right.
The fibroids, I believe, came about because I was taking the pill many, many years before that. And it was only diagnosed probably 7, 8, 9 years afterwards. But I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
All I know is that I had the heavy bleeding and I had the fibroids. And I went to the doctors with the heavy bleeding. That's when they gave me the pill to regulate my cycle. Years later, here I am with the fibroids.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a connection there somewhere. Right. So that's how I found out. And like I said, for years, I did nothing. Absolutely nothing at all about it. And then in the end, things started getting worse. Cycles started getting worse. So I went, to cut a very long story short, I went back and forth to various consultants over about 4 years. And it was only in 2010/11, I said, right, okay, I've had enough. And I decided to have the surgery. And then that happened in December.
So let me just check. What was happening was which I can relate to, was the heavy cycles. The
heavy cycles and the fact that my fibroids were growing.
Wow.
And when I had them measured, they were 24 weeks.
What?
In gestation. And I have the letter saying that. And 24 weeks. So I was big. I had a very big belly, and it was very uncomfortable.
You've made my hair stand on end.
Yeah. And so that was the reason, because because despite being qualified in nutrition, it's not something we covered when I was studying. We did endometriosis, we did PCOS, we did dysmenorrhea, amenorrhea, all those in regards to womb health, but nothing about fibroids. So I literally suffered in years because I didn't know what to do about them.
No.
So that's why I went down the treatment route, because I thought, I don't know how to deal with my own issue. And the problem was the surgery didn't work, despite them removing 11. They removed 11, and they were around about 8 to 9 centimeters each, and they moved 11 of them.
So when you say they didn't work in terms of the heavy cycles?
No, didn't. I love the fact that instantly I lost around 3 inches from my waist. I was really happy about that, and I felt lighter. And over the coming months, I felt my hormones regulate a bit better. It's almost like my body felt, yes, I can actually do some stuff. And for the first time, I sweated. I was sweating for the first time in my life, because I'd never sweated before. And so over that course of those years, from 2010, I just carried on doing what I was doing, eating well. Also, I thought, until 2017. And then that's when it all went pear-shaped again.
And before we talk about pear-shaped, let me just go over that again. So you've got these massive fibroids. You've been told that your stomach is a mess. They've removed 11 of them. Your stomach's gone down, that kind of thing. Cycle's still going. Is that right? And then life is carried on. You're eating health and all the rest of it, but things then go belly up again. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So in 2017, it was getting worse over the years anyway. But 2017 was where it came to a head, where the clots were the size of my hands. It was just, every month it was almost like it was a massacre. It was terrible. You would jump up out of your bed at night and, anyway, let's not go into too much graphic detail. But I changed my diet. I stopped eating chicken. I literally stopped eating. I got so fed up. I stopped eating because I didn't know what to do. And I got rather depressed about it. And I thought, okay, let me go back to the hospital, because I was getting heart palpitations. I had no energy. I couldn't even run for the bus without feeling totally exhausted. So I went back to the doctors. I suspected my anemia was really bad, but it was really bad when I had my blood test done. And they phoned me up. The doctor actually phoned me up. Must have been about 2-3 hours after I had my blood test. And he said, you're why did you come to see us? He was just explaining, because I phoned up and said, look, I really need this blood test. And he said, right, why did you come to see us? And I said, well, and I went through my symptoms of anemia, and he said, you better get yourself to A&E. So next thing I know, I'm in hospital, hooked up to a drip, and then saying, oh, you need a blood transfusion. And I thought, hell no. That was my turning point. I thought, right, that's it. I went through that month's August, September, October, November, January, being prodded, poked, have things in there, up there. And I thought, that's enough. I've had enough.
Right.
I'm going to do something about this, because they clearly don't have a clue. And I still had another procedure to remove another fibroid. So I've had 12 removed in total. That didn't work. And I thought, that's it, I'm done.
Crikey. So, I mean, this is quite a common problem, isn't it? Fibroids. What percentage of women actually suffer from this?
When 80% of women globally up by the age of 50 suffer with fibroids. So
Wow.
it is pandemic.
Wow. But so little is spoken about it in the press.
Exactly. And I don't understand why. Because it is so prevalent, and so many women suffer in silence.
And what was one of the symptoms? Is it the heavy bleeding, and then they realise it's fibroids, or is that always, are they always connected?
If you look at the NHS website, they will say, and you look under heavy bleeding, they'll say one of the causes is fibroids. But then when you look at the causes of fibroids, they'll say the main cause is unknown. And they say that for PCOS and endometriosis as well. But normally they will say heavy bleeding is caused by fibroids. But to tell you the truth, I don't necessarily think that's the case. Okay. Because I had heavy bleeding since my teens.
Right.
And I don't think I had fibroids then, because they mostly occur in your childbearing years.
Right.
Especially from about the age of 20 something onward.
Do you have children, Valerie?
I don't, no. And they do actually say that's one of the reasons that you might get fibroids is because you don't have children. Right. But that's not necessarily the case either, because you got a lot of
you couldn't have children because she had fibroids, as opposed to it being the other way around.
Yeah, some women don't have children and have fibroids, and they say that is one of the risk factors. But that's not necessarily true, because you've got women who have children who have fibroids.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so tell us then, you've gone for this, they've hooked you up left, right and centre, told you about blood transfusion, and you said no more, and this is when you radically changed your life. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the catalyst.
Right.
What I found myself thinking to myself when I was in the hospital, I thought, I've got to do something about this. This is not good enough. They clearly can't help me. So I need to find my own solution. So what I did was initially for myself, womanwise health came about because of what I found out. Because through my research, because I was using myself as my own randomized placebo-controlled trial, so I experimented on myself. After a year and with no improvements, I thought, I need some help. So I actually went to somebody myself to get help. And after that, I had a complete understanding of exactly what it was I needed to do and work on in order to help myself, in order to heal my body, to allow that healing to occur. So that's when I embarked on a plan. I drew up my own plan based on the report I had from the other practitioner I went to see, and I drew up my own healing plan.
And this is how you then, is this where your diet changed and what have you? Tell us a bit about what that...
I cleaned up my diet. So my diet was okay.
Right.
What I did was add supplements. I added supplementation because the main reason I had the anemia was because I wasn't getting the nutrients from the food, because we know the way food is grown, nutrients are hard to come by. It's still good to eat healthy, but we can't rely on food alone anymore. So I added a supplement and herbal regime, plus I added detoxification, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to heal my body, I'm going to need to get all the rubbish out first. So i.e., for instance, if you've got a blocked sink, you're going to clear that sink before it starts working properly. So that's exactly what I did with my body. I did a full body detox, and that lasted quite a while. because I did it in stages. So I went through every system of my body, more or less every organ, right to the cellular level. Because then when I start putting in those whole food supplements, my body's going to be able to absorb it a lot better.
Right, right. I'm with you. So is this
Yeah.
is this how the raw chef aspect came in? Because you wanted to get more nutrients from the veg and the food. Is that how that came about?
No,
Was that still
raw food. I knew about raw food when I went on a detox retreat. I think it was back in 2004. Actually, I heard somebody talk about they went on a detox retreat and they had all these colonics, and I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And the detox I went on, it was actually in Exeter in Devon, about 2004, because I was dying to go on one, so I booked myself on one. And that's where I learned about raw foods, like that as a lifestyle. And I was, from my studies, from my nutrition studies, I was a bit skeptical, and I thought, oh, I don't think so. And so after I left that retreat, I didn't really think much more about it until about 3 years later. So we're looking at 2007. Where for some reason I just thought, let me explore this raw food thing a bit. And so I started Googling and researching it. And then I started seeing all these raw food gurus. And 2 years later, before you know it, I'm off to America to train as a raw food chef. Because I think it was mostly to do with the fact that I wanted to do more than just salads and juices and smoothies. I wanted to learn, okay, I was seeing people create all these beautiful cheesecakes and burgers, and I thought, I want to learn how to do that. Right, where can I go to do my training?
If you tell me about raw food, I wouldn't think cheesecake and burgers. That doesn't come to mind.
Most people don't. I mean, I once ran a class actually called Last Summer barbecue. It was a raw food barbecue. So it had burgers, it had a chocolate shake in there, it had onion rings, it had a sweet and sour chive dip that had no dairy in it, and with vegetable crudités, the whole works. And I'm telling you, I put the bowl down, I looked 5 minutes later, the whole bowl was just cleared. Completely cleared.
This shows that the world is so much bigger than we actually subjected to on a day-to-day basis. You'd never believe that. It's like me I remember once going to, in my attempt to try to become more vegan, going to Vegan Live, and just an array of food that was available. I think this is nuts.
I know exactly the stuff you can create. I prefer to do that for other people when it comes to the gourmet stuff. I prefer to do that and make stuff for other people, for them to enjoy and to see their faces light up. But for me, I keep it really basic. Like I said, I've gone back to the salads, the smoothies, the juices and things like that, just for myself, because it's easier for me and my other half, actually, because I've forced him to eat a lot more salads as well, so he doesn't mind. But that's what I enjoy. And to tell you the truth, I'm rather lazy, so it stops me from having to think about cooking. If I've just got a salad, I can just throw a few things together. But I'm not vegan, by the way. I'm not vegan, because I do eat fish every now and again.
Right. So where are we at now then, Valerie? You've trained a raw vegan chef, a raw food chef, vegan nutritionist. You were going through this with your cycles, what have you, and you've mentioned there that you added supplements to your food and all the rest of it. So, in sort of that generalizing it all together and tying it all together, is this basically how you solved this issue?
And it's ongoing, because remember, this is only from 2017, so we're only 3 years down the line.
Right.
What I do know is that these things, fibroids, are hard masses, so the body's going to need time to break them down. So if you're full of inflammation, like chronic inflammation, because it's an inflammatory disease. Most diseases are due to inflammation and too much toxicity and acidity in the body. So you've got to be constantly monitoring that and checking what you're doing, to the point where you're so used to it, it's just part of your lifestyle. But it's not something you have to go, write down and tick off. It's just something you do to make sure that you keep that inflammation low. So it's not like, ta-da, my fibroids are gone. My goal was getting rid of my heavy bleeding, and I've achieved that. I said I'm happy for the fibroids to sit there and do nothing, so long as they just sit there and do nothing. They don't get bigger, and that's all they do. So they just sit there like a resident in my room.
Yes, right. They're there.
Yeah, so long as they stay there, they don't have to pay rent or anything. They can just sit there and do nothing. If my body decides to shrink them, all the better. But I won't know that until I go back and have an ultrasound scan to ensure that they haven't grown.
Right.
Because I was going to do that this year, but of course we know what happened this year. So
yeah. And my understanding is that really you just didn't want to have to go down the road of getting your womb removed. Was that right?
No way. That wasn't even an option, and that was one of the things I said to the consultant, because he said, because we can always look at hysterectomy. I said, don't say that to me again.
Right, you were quite adamant you didn't want that.
Yeah, I said, do not say that. I said, it's not even an option.
Right. But you're able to live a fruitful life at the moment without because I understand about those heavy cycles. They can just be destroyed. But the way you've described yours, I thought, crikey. You wanted to get, because it is destroying, isn't it? It can just absolutely drain you and break you down. People have no idea.
Yeah.
So you wanted to heal yourself from that condition, which
correct,
successfully done. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That was my goal.
Right.
It was never the fibroids. My goal was the heavy bleeding and the clots.
Right, and because to feel well and alive again.
Yes, exactly. Because I got sick of being tired all the time. Every time I got on the bus, I'd fall asleep. No matter where I was, I'd be falling asleep. So driving, just as well I don't have a car, because driving just wasn't possible for me.
No. So this, like I said, it was just completely taking your energy. It was totally taking your groove.
Yeah, exactly. And every month, my energy levels just plummeted. And it was going through what I went through was also expensive, because as you can imagine, you're changing every 30-40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you have the embarrassing scenarios where you have accidents, especially when you're out and about, especially when I was working, because now I'm working from home. But when I went out to work, I had to literally take packs with me. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, what's wonderful to know is that, the lifestyle you do live, like I said, it's still fruitful. It's not 100% vegan, because a lot of people find that quite overwhelming. But it is healthy. So I say to people, even myself, I am mostly vegan. I'm not all the way there, but I'm good with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm good with that, because, the whole thing can feel daunting. Who knows where I'll be 2 or 3 years from now. So it's really nice to know that you've healed your body naturally, which is really beautiful. And you're able, more than anything else, to live a happy life without that drain in energy, if you've been able to get your groove back.
Yes, absolutely.
Valerie, my lovely, for anyone who wants to get in touch with you and speak to you a bit more about how they too can feel alive again through the methodology that you use, how could they go about that?
Well, they can get in touch with me because I'm on Facebook. So I've got a Facebook page that's called Womb Wellness Warriors. They can look that up and find me there. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well. Or they can email me at Valerie McKen, that's Valerie MCKEN @gmail.com.
Fabulous. And if you were going to give us 3 quick takeaways, what would those be?
I would say, when it comes to health and well-being, ensure that you're mentally prepared to do the work, no matter what that work is. I find that so many people start out, they embark on a new way of life only to revert to their old habits when the going gets tough, which is why mentally you've got to be ready.
Yeah.
The second one I'd say is to do the work, and then the results will come. Or far too often, many women want to be successful before they've had the success. So what I always emphasize is that there is no rush. There's no rush to be somewhere. In this world of instant gratification where everything is now, we're in far too much of a hurry to get somewhere or do something or be someone. So we just need to focus and be, on the results. Focus on that and the results will come. The third one is to be consistent and allow for mistakes. And so we'll always get what we want if we are dedicated and we are committed and we are consistent. This is what we have to do, whether we fall down or not. And don't expect to be perfect, because there's no such thing, surprisingly enough. So if something doesn't go according to plan, all we need to do is just pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, reflect on what happened, learn from it, and then get back on track.
Get back on the horse. Yeah, I love that. And it's so real. We're going to keep it real. It's like, even for myself, it's like, it's not a straight trajectory. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
I've fallen off that horse 1,000 times. And
Exactly.
get back on again. It's what we call, in my work, I call it growth mindset. Reflect, find new strategy, get back on the horse again. But it is just one of those things. Don't beat yourself up. Valerie, I think you're luscious beyond words. Thank you so much for openness and sharing your story with us to help others, because there are many people who have this problem and they feel really silent about talk about, or you tell your close friends. So for you to come on air here and really open up and share that with us to help me help other women to find their energy again and to get their groove back, I'm grateful to you beyond words, my darling. Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Take care, my lovely. See you soon.
All right, you take care. Bye.